Hello, folks. I'm Isaac, and I am a gamer.
Great, and I'm Claire, and I defeated the Yiga hideout. Did I say that right?
Master Koga of the Yiga clan.
That's him. Anyway, and this is
Make that game!
where we pitch the latest,
The greatest
new video game ideas
that aren't likely to get made, but there's still the potential.
There's always potential.
Someone could come along and make these games for us.
Is it you?
Not me. No, maybe the listener. You're talking to the listener.
To the listener.
Oh,
yes.
That's active engagement. Hello, listener.
Exactly.
How are you doing today? That's great. That's so good to hear. And then some listener is actually like, oh, well, I got laid off this morning. And Claire, if you were looking for a job in the game design industry and part of the interview was asking, do you have a game idea for us? How would you answer that question?
I don't think this is a good segue for me today because I feel like I would not answer with this particular game I have prepared for you. I probably would pick one of the many other games that we have pitched. One that I did not come up with so quickly.
So you're saying this is not, in fact, one of the good ones?
No.
Oh, geez.
I guess I have to out of the gate set your expectations because you...
Sorry, I didn't know that I was setting up for that. Wow.
We know not every game idea is necessarily a winner. Well, I guess it's not even that it's not good. It's just like I wouldn't pick it to represent myself as a game designer in an interview.
Okay,
you know,
fair.
There's a lot of other games I would pick instead.
There's a wide gulf between this idea and who this would be.
B&B is like my that was early days, but that's like one of my number ones. Like I want that game to exist.
Yes. Oh well, let's get started on it. Let's open up the old Rust IDE. I'm not even sure that I think most people just use Visual Studio Code. They don't even have a real IDE. Oh no. Anyways, all right. We've moved far aside from the point. Drop a game idea onto my lap, and I will pay you $1 million for it.
Oh, really? Wow. Well, in that case,
regardless of quality, actually, yeah. No, you just get
all right.
this
Well, you said it live
money
on tape, so if you owe me $1 million, the game, the working title for this game is called Rear Window the Game.
This is a licensed game from the famous Rear Window IP.
Yeah, I wonder who holds the copyright to that, but sure.
Okay, all right. Let's our people will talk to your people. Rear Window rights holder. I know you're listening.
Yeah. So again, like it's not that deep, right? So it's basically so Isaac has these point and click games that were old.
Myst.
What are they? Yes.
MYST.
So I'm kind of imagining it like that.
Okay.
So the idea is, for those of you who don't know, Rear Window is a famous Alfred Hitchcock film starring our friend Jimmy Stewart. And
the race car driver?
No. What? Is there a Jimmy Stewart race car driver?
Isn't it? I'm Googling it. Anyways, you keep talking while I look this up.
Jimmy Stewart's a very, very famous actor. Household name, one could say. But anyway, so his character is in a wheelchair because he's broken his leg, but he is a photographer and he gets bored. So he's looking outside his window to see like what people are doing. And then he ends up witnessing a murder and trying to solve it with his girlfriend, who is played by Grace Kelly. So really great movie. Check it out. But I was thinking like, hey, it'd be kind of fun, like a very low key mystery game where like there aren't very high stakes, because the whole thing is like he's in his window. And I mean, no spoilers, but there is some drama at the end. There are some stakes at the end of the movie, but for the most part, he's just looking out the window. So the idea is that like the game would have different levels that are different windows, and you can't leave your window, but there's like a bunch of different vignettes to witness. And then you can slowly put together, like solve a crime in each kind of location. But you have to also like figure out what the crime is. So you're not like, oh, this is a robbery, like figure out who stole blah, blah, blah. It's like you have to figure out what's going on. Like, is there a robbery? Is there like a murder? Is there
Are you just misinterpreting what you're seeing?
yeah.
Are they just practicing for a play?
The classic, oh, we're just rehearsing.
Yeah. So, all right. So you go from there are multiple locations. So you are someone like confined to their location, but in like multiple places.
Well, so I was thinking the multiple things are just like different levels, so it's not necessarily the same person.
Okay. Okay. All right. You're like a world-renowned detective whose detective style is specifically staying in exactly one place.
I mean, this is literally the definition of an armchair detective. So I don't think you can't be professional, because no way
That's
would a professional
okay.
even if a professional detective was in a wheelchair, they would still go to the crime.
Yeah.
So, no, I think it is just like a citizen, and that's why it's kind of fun, because you're just literally like vibing out your window, witnessing crimes. Maybe that's not fun in real life, but in the video game.
So what's I guess the mechanic for like solving the crime?
So I guess like maybe it could be kind of like the murder mystery we did at the library. Yes, folks, we do go to the local library to play murder mysteries because we're really cool.
Yeah.
We're really cool. And so in that one, they had like objectives. So that it would be like, what's the crime? And you'd have to like select from a list like what the crime is and like how do you know? And then like select like which neighbor window you saw it from.
Okay. Okay.
And then like you'd move on to the next objective, which is like who are the suspects? What, like, so that's kind of how it would
Okay.
go. So you'd be observing. And I kind of see it unfortunately, because I think this game probably would make me nauseous, but I would barely be able to design games if I kept it only games that would not make me nauseous. Like in Link's scope in Breath of the Wild, where you can kind of zoom in a little, like that's how you'd see inside people's windows. So I mean, just like the game. So you're basically like facing an apartment building with like multiple vignettes.
Okay.
And so you have to like observe the vignettes and see what happens. And I think after, so like you can pull up the screen that's like, what's the crime? That's like the first objective. And once you correctly identify the crime, then like the vignettes would change. Like you'd see new information from the people in the apartment building, you know?
Okay. Maybe the player could in some way interact with the vignettes to like force things forward, and being confined to your
No,
room would be difficult, but like you could call and like you could see a person approach the phone and like get a little vignette of that.
maybe, but I feel like that's not the point of the game.
Okay.
Like I guess calling on the phone but you can't talk to them might be okay, or might be interesting in a situation where you're trying to like either save someone if there's like an active crime. But I don't really like, the whole point of the game is just observation. It's not
Okay.
supposed to be an active role. That's like the whole point.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sounds good. Sounds nice.
All
Rear
right.
Window
Well,
the game.
yeah. Got to. Well, anyway, thanks for letting me pitch my game. Isaac, do you have a game you can pitch to me? And I will say off the bat, I'm not going to give you $1,000,000 for it, because then I wouldn't have the million you just gave me.
But I thought the point was that we both give each other $1,000,000 so that we're net even, and then the $1,000,000 doesn't need to exist. So what you're saying is I need to actually go and get $1,000,000.
Yeah, gotcha.
Oh man, dang it!
Oof,
I thought we had
nailed
this
it.
worked out.
All right, fine. I'll give you the $1,000,000.
Oh, thank goodness. All right,
All right.
so my game is tentatively titled Bird Seeding.
Ooh.
It is a city builder for the birds.
Yes. Good.
The primary mechanic is that you like collect different seed types and like different wood types to build birdhouses and bird feeders. You distribute the seeds to different bird feeders, and these represent like the different like houses. So like if you fill a house with sunflower seeds, it'll attract certain kinds of birds. If you fill a feeder with corn, it'll attract a different kind of bird. I don't know if there's any birds that actually eat corn, but anyways, you have to defend your bird seed against squirrels, enemy birds, and possibly like snakes and stuff, like protect the birdhouses. And to be clear, you aren't like a person building like a backyard. This is like imagine birds could build cities this is what they're doing. So like the birds have a vested like interest in helping build and stuff, and they also have the ability to use tools in this wonderful narrative world I'm building. So it's not just like in real life, if snakes were infesting an area, the birds just would not build their nest there. They would move on and go
Right.
to a different nesting area. But like these ones, they're like, we want to be part of this community. And then the major goals are like, you're just trying to survive as many years as you can, which includes the winter. And the interesting mechanic here is that a proportion of your bird population are going to be migratory birds. So not only in the winter do you have the less supplies to forage for in the wild, there's less food, so you have to build up and like store it in the preceding months, but you also lose a large amount of your workers and or like soldiers to defend your territory against what happens in the winter. So it's like a double whammy. And yes, for the astute listener, I am taking already the hardest season in these types of city builder games, and I'm doubling down on what makes it the least fun season. I did that.
Wow.
That's my game design. I'm
Wow.
making it worse. That's what I always do. But yeah, that's bird seeding. I might have glossed over some important features, but
That's it. That's the game. I don't know. If it sounds very relaxing and fun, kind of like the cat game.
yeah, I was kind of inspired.
What's
Not
that
going
called?
in as much deep. So what Claire is referring to here is I played for part of a Steam Next Fest. There's an episode on it, but let me see if I can find it.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it. It was like a cute little pun, I thought.
Catizens.
Yeah, yeah,
So there
yeah.
was a game called Catizens, which is a city builder, although it focuses a lot more on the individual like cats that make up your catizens. So they'll all have personality types that you have to account for when doing things. Like our famous example that we love to bring up is one
Yeah.
cat needed to like gain approval from being near people, but also needed to not be close to
Well, so it
other
wasn't that he
cats.
needed to be near people, but so he wanted to live in a popular town. So like your town
Oh,
got ratings, and like part of being a popular town was having a lot of people in it. But he
yep.
was also a loner and hated being near people.
Yes,
So I was
that's what
like,
it was.
what is like how do we he was never happy. He was always a big grumpy grouch.
For
So that
some
was great.
for some reason I was remembering it as like being needed to like be near people who would like compliment him or something, but no, you're right. It's popular
No, he
town,
wanted to be in a
but
popular
on the
town,
outskirts.
but also like he hated people. So it was very difficult to keep that cat in particular happy.
That's emergent gameplay, folks. That's something that we could talk about sometime. Emergent gameplay is fun. But anyways, yeah, so this is going to be a much more macro. You're more concerned with the overall city, more of a Sim City.
Yeah.
Be Wow, what is the name of the game? The other city builder game, the like super popular one everyone plays. B- 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 b-
I
b-
only know SimCity. I've never played it, but
Banished is a big popular one. So like that style of game where it's more about the city as a whole rather than any individual citizen. So I'm not envisioning this as being like Birdie Birdson likes
right.
likes sunflowers, hates sun.
Right. That makes sense. Yeah, I think it'd be an interesting game to play. I really when we talk about I really haven't played City Builders.
I gotta open one up. I just gotta leave it open on my computer and
Just like how you leave snacks out for me, you're gonna leave
yeah.
games out for me and just be like, oh, I guess since it's here, I'll play a little.
Yeah, see if I can trick you into playing one so you
It's
can finally
probably because it
understand
is.
what I'm talking about.
Yeah. Well, the only one I've played is Caesar.
Mm.
That's a city builder, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But I haven't played that to like a great extent. Like I just kind of dabbled in it a little. My dad really liked Caesar. He played that a lot. I just made it. I just killed it each city I did. And I was like, well, I don't know anymore.
I like its pizza. All right, well, quickly moving on. Do you have any questions that you want to ask?
I do have a question. I don't know how to formulate it in a question, but we're going to work on it. A
Okay.
discussion, a game design
Well,
feature.
game
I guess.
design deep dive. Let's dive deep on whatever you bring up next.
Phew. That was me diving for those of you. I So this came about on our last episode a little bit. We started to like talk about it. I think it'd be good to discuss is I guess what are the game design pros and cons of having playable characters that have different abilities and traits?
Okay.
So similar, just to set the scene, it's like you got a Mario game, like the new 3D Mario game, Mario Brothers, where like Peach can float a little, and I think Luigi can jump higher.
Yeah,
I
he
don't know.
like waggles his legs a little bit more so he can get
Yeah,
a
I
little
don't know.
more distance and height.
Anyway, so things like that, or like even in we could even go to like Elden Ring where you pick a class and like that class. Although I feel like that's a little bit different, but it's kind of the same. Where like different classes have different like stats to start with, right? So
Yeah, and then you can eventually build into being able to do anything. Like if you start off as a warrior, you can still learn magic through the game.
right, which is so that's a little different. I don't know if that's
Yeah.
the same thing, but just to kind of set the stage of what we're talking about, that's what we're talking about. What do you think about that, Isaac?
So I like it. I like games that have different characters that have different play styles because it allows me to pick a character that I like the play style of. In the Mario game that I was talking about last time, where it was like the Game Boy Advance one. It had Mario, Luigi, Peach, and Toad. Toad couldn't jump as high, but he picked up items faster. And I always played Toad, even though, like in a platformer, the less jumping ability is generally a downside, and picking up things didn't matter that much. Just because A, I liked Toad, B, I liked picking things up and throwing them. And I thought that was cool. And I don't know how much it actually impacted the gameplay. Like all of them were probably equally fun. The second character I always played was Peach because the float ability just made platforming almost trivial in a lot of places. But I like being able to change up the playstyle. Now, further extending this idea, there is a game called The Lost Vikings where you have three different characters that you have to switch between to solve puzzles. Like one of them, I forget their exact abilities off the top of my head, um, but one of them like jumps, one of them can like smash blocks, and one of them has a shield that I think that they can use to turn themselves into a little platform. So like
Okay.
in order to solve a puzzle, you might need to switch to the shield one, walk over, create the platform, then you switch to the jumpy one, jump onto him, and then jump up to the next point, and then they'll press a switch, and then you switch to the fighty one. And I don't know if they're the fighty one or if they had another power, but
I think that's fine. That's
just for this example, I'm at this point now making up a game, and then you switch to the punchy one, and the door that just got opened leads to an area where you can punch a block, and it creates a new path that all of them can walk through and then complete the level.
right.
Fun fact: when I was in high school, I made a game based on this exact concept called Mouser 2: Death Before Dishonor. There's probably a YouTube video of it somewhere on the old account I uploaded like the gameplay trailer for, where it was a punchy one, a fast one, and a jumpy one, and you did have to actively switch between them. The fast one's power specifically was that they were so fast they would run over water. So there would be some water areas that were too far for either of the other ones to be able to jump across.
I think that's a totally different thing,
You think
is what
that's
you're
a totally
describing.
different thing?
Yeah, because what you're describing is a game where one, you can switch between characters, which you can't necessarily do in other games like
Okay.
that have this feature. And then also where it's necessary to do so to solve puzzles. Like if I play Mario Brothers as just Mario and never play another character, I can still succeed. Like there's never going to be a time when I needed to be Peach.
True.
So that's really different. So I see what you're describing because I played so Stranger Things, the game, the mobile game, is the same way where like each character has a different ability and you have to like solve puzzles by switching abilities to best like defeat the puzzle. Like you need all of their abilities and you need to be able to rotate between them. That I see as more of like a puzzle mechanic and not as like what we're talking about.
Okay, so what you're talking about is just there is a single level that you can play multiple characters as, and each individual character has like a different
Yeah.
approach to
Well, it
the
doesn't
level.
even have to be single level, but it's just the fact that like you don't need the benefit of this character to succeed, but they all have different gameplay abilities. Right? Because like what you're
Okay, well,
describing,
yeah, that's
yeah.
just then a play style or favorite character thing. Like,
But so that's the thing. So that, I guess that's where I struggle with it and like don't necessarily love it as a game thing because what if my favorite character doesn't have a good power? Like I don't like that like so so in Elden Ring you get to character design, like visual design, and then also pick a class,
yeah,
which kind of gives you the ability to say like this is the play style I like and this is the avatar I want.
yes.
Whereas in Super Mario, like you just have to like you said, you play as Peach because you like the long jump, like that she floats and stuff. And it's like, okay, but like would you pick Peach if there was no special ability? Like I always try to play as Daisy just because she has brown hair. But like, I don't know, it seems like I have to think too hard about strategy. And then two, which probably is overthinking it, but it does feel like, oh man, am I taking like a strategy problem if I pick a character that I just like? And then it's also like, do I have to play a character I don't like because of their stats? And like that bothers me too. I think this also came up once in Mario Kart where I was just like picking characters I liked and cars that looked cool. And then people are like, well, that's a bad car because it won't blah, blah, blah. And then I'm like, well, I don't know what
Oh,
to do then. I don't know what to do anymore. Like, anyway, so that's kind of where I'm coming from with like this discordance of between like what I just like as a person and then also like thinking strategically. And I don't like that they're at odds with each other.
yeah. I don't think anybody who cares does not like that they're at odds with each other. And this is actually a classic wargaming problem. If I like Black Legion and they have bad rules for 7 years, what
This
what I and this involves a lot more investment than just paying $60 and playing a game for a couple hours. This is, you have to buy the box, you have to buy an army, you have to build it, you have to paint it, then you actually have to go through the process of rolling dice and stuff. That's nonsense. But you know what? Let's keep it to the video games. The Pokemon problem is really
yes.
what you're talking about.
Yes, because different
You
Pokemon have different abilities, but can be ugly. Yes.
Yes, you want to play, let's say, um, the unevolved Pikachu because you love Pikachu in the TV show. He never evolves. He's super strong. That's that's a bad choice. He's unevolved. He has lower stats than a Raichu. Raichu isn't even a good Pokemon in general, like at top level. Um, you're putting yourself at a disadvantage for aesthetic preference, basically aesthetic or narrative preference. uh Later games eventually like did kind of sort of try to resolve this by giving Pikachu like a specific item that if a Pikachu holds it, it makes the Pikachu stronger.
I like how they had to solve specifically for Pikachu because that's like the show character.
Right.
And so it's like a lot of people having the same problem. That's pretty good.
Exactly. Or like in general, like not even an evolution thing. Like let's say that you really like Absol, which is like a niche Pokemon. It has no evolution. I think it has a mega form. Like this is them solving the problem again. Oh, a lot of people like Absol. We'll give it a mega evolution, and the mega evolution will be strong enough to make this make sense. Yeah, this is just, the game designer has to pick whether they want aesthetic to have a function, and if they decide that it does, then they are going to have to accept that certain people are going to take the aesthetic with the worst function and might not be happy with it. But then if you don't give aesthetic any function, that can also be a problem. Like if you make every Pokemon exactly the same statistically,
Oh yeah, that wouldn't be fun.
no, yeah, nobody, they would just, and then it's only picking the aesthetic. That's
I think the
hmm.
Pokemon just needs like well, so I guess with Pokemon, I see where you're coming from, but I do think based on my experience, my small experience, that there's always a way like you were saying, like they've created now ways to make your favorite fine. Like you can make your favorite statistically fine. I never ran into a situation where the Pokemon that I thought was the cutest was also like the absolute worst
Mm-hmm.
forever. Like maybe they were the worst on my team for a little while, but I could level them up. I could give them
Yeah.
special things. I can, so like there is that. I do think on Pokemon specifically, they need someone on their design team who's just kind of like very judgy and who can look at a drawing and go, "Oh, are you sure about that?
I'm sure that
Are
they
you
have
sure about
multiple
that?"
people involved in that.
I don't actually believe they do, because then they wouldn't have designed the things they made. The things that
There's
happened.
no accounting for taste, you know?
No, I think they're all burnt out and they're like, this is fine, right? And no one cares.
They're just shoveling designs out like, we got to make a design.
Well, I can't think of a Pokemon. Well, okay, I don't know how many are in the original. It's like the original. How many are there?
150.
Yeah, is the mime guy in that one?
Yes.
Okay, never mind. I was gonna think if I can't think of an original that went like totally wrong, but I'm like, no, that one did. That one was very bad.
Well, there's also the one that straight up had blackface.
Yeah, that was in the original too.
Yeah. Yes, it
All
was.
right, yeah. So this is what I'm saying. They need a very, very judgmental person who's very particular to go, oh no, that's actually wrong. And I guess what they need from that person is that they are the final say. Like I bet there's someone who said, ew, that mime is so creepy and I don't want it. And they're like, too bad, we like it. Bye. And it's like, no, that person has to have absolute control. Like the duck, illegal.
The Pokemon Company, Game Freak, come at us. Let us know your internal Pokemon design process. Let's get that interview going.
I can't imagine it's good. I literally think it's like, is this fine?
They're never going to come on our podcast now.
That's okay.
You can't start off that negative.
We've already bashed this game so much. I don't think they're coming on the podcast. Maybe we'll get someone who is laid off and they'll come on the podcast and talk about the experience. I don't think. No, I want the Kirby people on this podcast. Bring me.
All right, let's reach out to Sakurai.
Well, that's something we can talk about too, is the way Kirby does the like special power.
I figured that would fall into the category of what I was talking about earlier, where like sometimes you need specific powers.
Yeah, here's how I think it's kind of like the both situation with Kirby. So Kirby, for those of you who haven't played Kirby, can swallow different abilities in the game and then take on those abilities. So like sword, and you can fight with a sword, or like fire and you'll shoot fireballs, etc. Sometimes you need a specific one to get a puzzle. So for example, if you have to melt an ice cube, you would need the fire power, but the game design's really good and will have fire like opportunities to like swallow a fire thing, usually very near the places where you need the fire, right? So it's not like you have to have fire the whole time to get that. I think it's actually pretty rare that they force you to use a specific ability. You kind of get to pick whichever one you feel most confident on.
Yeah, usually they have the different abilities just unlock a faster route, I guess, or like a different route.
Yeah,
or a secret.
or there could be like a secret that you need to use a special ability for, like a special. If you're trying to get 100% the game, like I am, you might need to be specific. But you, for the most part, get to play as the ability you most prefer. But you also have to try your hand at all of them. It's a really different way to do this kind of like a character with multiple abilities thing, which I like. And it's kind of, Kirby does it in a really unique way. I think, so I think where I'm coming from is maybe I'm just like too much of like a new player, but I think you do have to, I think it would be good for game designers to assume that there's a lot of choosing a character that is aesthetic versus strategic.
Mm-hmm.
And how that might impact the gameplay. Like I guess this also just goes to character design. I almost just wish that you could have like in Mario, if you could pick your character and then pick one of the abilities to go with it. And that would be kind of fun. And you would get to like make different combos.
Yeah.
Like I'm going to be Mario and I'm going to have tall jump, and I'm going to be, Toad and I'm going to have floaty jump, and I'm going to whatever. And I'm going to be Luigi and I'm going to have throw things thing. And that's just part of character selection. I don't know. What do you think?
I don't really want to take a stance on this because I think they're all valid. I think that they're all valid design decisions. I think that it's okay to favor just purely aesthetic choices. It can lead to stale or boring gameplay for people who care about like mechanical choices, who want deep mechanical choices. Some people want their character that looks different to act like they look, as opposed to a character. Um, like if you have if you're making like a Mario like game and you have like a fire guy versus a normal guy, they probably expect the fire guy to play different, but oh, the fire guy is just a skin. He plays exactly the same as normal guy, just the normal human, whatever.
Well, I think, yeah, I mean, in that scenario, I would think that like the fire guy would be something you unlock.
Yeah.
Because it wouldn't be fair if you're like if two people are playing and one person is like way OP than the other, right?
Right, yeah. And when you get mechanics involved, like you have to have like some kind of balancing determinism. Like Pokemon, their idea is that they kind of know that some Pokemon will be naturally stronger than others, and that's fine. And they want people who pick aesthetically effectively. And if a wild amount of people are like picking the same Pokemon that is actually kind of weak, they'll throw a bone eventually. Is what I've noticed. Like I've discussed a couple times, but yeah, I also think it's fine to make it like a strategic
So I
decision.
guess what you're saying is that it just doesn't bother you. You're like completely neutral on
Yeah,
this.
depending on what the game is, like I'll make my choice depending on what the game is.
Okay. All right.
All right, and so that was our deep dive, and now we're going into the last segment of the day, the rapid fire round. And what is the rapid fire round, Claire?
Yeah, so the rapid fire round is when we generate 3 random words. We have 5 minutes to come up with a game idea based on those 3 words, and we have to use all 3 words. We have to come up with a name for the game, and it's going to be a good time. Isaac, are you ready for our first
I'm
three
getting ready. Sorry,
words?
yeah. All right. It for some reason takes me a while to get my stop clock. All right, I'm ready. In 3, 2, 1, go.
All right. Cake, publish, position.
Publish.
Cake. So
Publish.
cookbooks? Cookbooks? Could we be doing cookbooks?
Cookbooks. Graphic design is my passion. You are making a bakery.
What was the graphic design part of this
So
game?
you're making a bakery and you have the posters and flyers,
Okay.
and you have different components, and the game uses a complicated
Oh,
AI
that's the
model.
position. That's where you're getting
Yeah,
position.
to determine
This,
whether you've done good graphic design or not.
you know what this sounds like? This sounds like a learn 'em up game.
Learn 'em up graphic design. This
Learn
is
'em
like a
up.
college level course for the Learn 'em up Kids
I mean,
series.
I would say high school.
Yeah, it's just like a little after school thing. They let
Yeah,
you
it's like
play the
you do it
Learn
in
'em up Kids
computer
game.
lab. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I like this. Using AI to make like basically higher level or like technical education more accessible to people, like because hiring a teacher can be expensive and not a lot of schools have the budget, but like buying a license for 10 or 20 of these
I mean,
keys to play this game,
to be clear, nothing could replace teacher instruction.
like you were
Yeah, and
saying, like
this
this
is
is
this is
the
kind of also like the get it started option. So if you're
yeah.
just starting out learning graphic design, this is a great way to like get your feet wet, start to learn basic design concepts. And that the AI part would be like, as Isaac was saying, so as you're like positioning, I'm assuming that's why you went with graphic design because you have to position things. That's the word.
Yeah.
As you're positioning things on your designs, AI would be like using reference of successful designs that exist to say like how you're doing.
Yep.
And I think actually for all the educators out there, this could be a cool one to have like combo class. I didn't imagine it they'd be completely on their own. I thought it'd be like in an art class they would do this program as like part like one of the like quarters of school would be like we're doing this.
Hmm.
Because then you can discuss like do you think the AI was right? Were you upset about any of the choices it made? Like what are the implications of using this kind of program to create design? Like I don't know, I think that'd be really cool.
Oh, turn it into a graphic design / ethics class.
Well, yeah, all
Talking
art
about the
classes.
implications.
I mean, I feel like all art classes have to talk about those kinds of things. Like that's just part of art.
All right. All right. So I think that's solid. Like at its core, it's pretty simple. I mean,
But it is
effectively,
about
it's
cake and a bakery. Like
yes.
yes.
At its core, this game is really just it gives you a blank canvas and it lets you drag and drop like clip art and add text and stuff,
Well, I
and then it
mean,
AI models.
no, I think it has to be a little more detailed than that. Like I think it should be similar more to Canva, where you get like a lot of design options and tools. Like you can change colors, fonts, you can do backgrounds.
Well, yeah, that
That's not,
yes.
I guess, like when you say clip art to me, that just instantly means like
Oh,
very cheap, ugly stuff.
no.
Okay.
Canva
Because
is filled with clip art. Like,
no, clip art's a very specific thing.
okay. All right.
Um,
Well, anyway, so
anyway,
we've got like
so
a little over a minute left. We got to come up with a name. Got to
yeah,
stop
well, so I wanted
dilly-dallying.
to say too that each it's not just a blank canvas. It's like, because it's about the bakery, you have to like make specific flyers. So like you're advertising a certain product or an
Oh,
opening
okay.
day, or like, so there's different challenges you have to, or like a social media post, or so there's different things you're
Oh.
making.
Okay, and then that would also help educate, like, hey, this is a difference between like a poster that's going on your like
Yeah, or
storefront
like a billboard to
and a
advertise the store versus like an Instagram post. Like those are going to be really different.
okay. I like that. That is a really good addition.
Okay, so that after that quick addition, so it has to be Learn 'em Up Kids.
It is Learn 'em Up
Um,
Kids. Bakery design
is my passion.
is my passion. 30 seconds left. Let's go. Learn 'em
Let's
Up
go.
Kids. Continue their rapid fire round supremacy.
We
Learn
love
'em
a
Up
Learn 'em Up.
Kids. Learn 'em Up Kids.
All right, are you ready for the
I am
next 3 words?
I am in fact ready, and I'm going in 3, 2, 1, go.
All right, these words are too close. All right, candidate,
Okay.
cope, like COPE, cope,
Okay.
and house.
Candidate.
I just feel like
Cope,
candidate and house are like
House.
really okay. And I just thought of like a really stressed out like representative.
Okay. So there's that angle. And I was also thinking, like, if you're like buying a house, you look at multiple candidates.
Oh, okay.
So we could make it like a real estate thing. Like this
Like
could be
House
B and
Hunters the
B.
game. Okay, well what if it's just like a numbers game? Like so basically you do get to tour the houses visually, but you don't get like just like a real house purchase. Like you really, what's kind of terrifying, just like a quick sidebar about buying a house, is it's just like even if you get an inspection, there's still surprises. Like you don't
Yeah.
really get to know what you're buying for like hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Yep.
Which is just a wild system. But anyway, so it could be that where you're looking for a house to buy or even invest in. And then, like, once you pick it, it's like a fast forward of all the numbers and you can see if it actually was a good idea. So, like, whether you're living there, it's like, okay, like, did it gain equity over your lifetime? Were you able to pay off the loan? Like, it tells like a little story.
Okay. So what's the gameplay aspect?
Well, you would have to like look at listings and view houses and then
Okay.
make offers, I guess, too. You made like House Hunters the game, and I think that's fine.
Yeah. But so
What's cope though? I feel like
so
that's
that's
not.
what I'm trying to think of is we have to have some kind of cope, and we have to have some kind of like challenges or objectives, because like just clicking through the menus and then you click yes on a
Yeah.
house and
I
then
mean, okay.
it
So
gives you a dialogue.
maybe that's not a good game. How about we go back to the candidate of the House of Representatives idea?
Okay, you are running a political campaign.
Yes, and everyone is just not getting it. And so you have to cope with the fact that it's very hard.
Okay.
I think like maybe there's like a level of like
You're destined to fail.
frustration. You're destined to fail. No, that's not a fun game, is it? I mean, can we make that fun?
You're destined to fail because you're running as a third party. So you have to cope with that fact, and the goal is just to get the highest score you can rather than
Highest amount of votes we
actually
can.
win.
Actually, I like this because this could create
This
a lot
is
of
another
repeat.
learn 'em up.
No, it is not a learn 'em up. We can only
Learn
do
'em
one
up,
learn 'em
harsh
up.
realities of life.
Oh boy, no, I was thinking that we could have like this is a very repeatable game. Like it lends itself to a lot of replaying because not only could you try to get the most number of votes, but I think there should be like a secret scenario that is like incredibly difficult to unlock where you do in fact win. Like there is like but like it is so hard that like one person in the entire world has ever gotten it, right?
Okay.
So you play this game in infinitum because you just want to unlock that special secret scenario, but in that way it does teach you the harsh realities of life because it might never happen.
The secret scenario is like, so it'll be like a political campaign. So like you like have a certain amount of funding, and then you do fundraisers to get more funding. You run events to bring awareness to like your political brand or whatever. You do debates, which involve you selecting options, and then which like questions are asked. You select the option depending on what you do. You get different like ratings. People like you if you stay consistent, but the secret path to unlock to unlock victory is you just pick the most insulting and demeaning towards your fellow politicians
Oh,
every debate, no matter
I
what, and the people
so
love it and they vote
I
for
mean,
you.
I think that could be part of getting a lot of votes, but I don't think that should be totally the secret scenario because that'd be too easy.
Yeah, you're
Like, I
right.
think
People would
people
do it
would
just for fun.
they would do it just for fun.
What's the
So
name of this game?
vote for me, third party.
Vote for me, comma, third party, with 4 seconds left on the
Wow.
clock.
We were kind of close on that one. All right. Are you ready?
I love the name of that one. Vote for me, comma, third party. And it rhymes. It's perfect.
Yeah, barely, but yeah. All right. Good,
All right,
good show.
All right, 3, 2, 1, go.
These are our final 3 words. All right. Utter. Like UTTER.
Okay.
So an utterance. Magazine.
Okay.
List.
Okay.
I guess utter could also be like, it's an utter disaster.
Ooh, I was really hoping that we could get some text to speech action going on in here.
Oh, okay. I'm listening.
I'm just trying to think of how to make that into like a game with a goal. So like magazine, and what was the third one?
List.
So you are the editor of a listicle magazine.
Okay, yeah, I like it. Good. I'm into it.
And all you do is dictate to your assistant who will write things down. And you just need to make a list of, a certain number of words. But the text to speech is bad, so you have to, as the player, figure out how to say a word so that your assistant will spell it and write it correctly.
Okay.
I'm trying to think of how this works behind the scene as I say it, which is why I'm like slow.
So I like Listicle magazine. I think what it is it's the text to speech is bad, but it's part of the gameplay, so you have to use it. So this might be like a mobile game or like a specifically desktop game, because a lot of those already have text to speech features. And then basically it's almost like, okay, it'll be like a combination between like text to speech and the game categories. So the listicle, it's like you need to come up with 10 things that, 10 ways to relax on a Saturday, right? That's what a listicle would have.
Okay, yes.
And then and it's timed, so you have to do as fast but also as clearly as you can.
Oh, what if this is just basically Family Feud, where the game has like a pre-built list with like certain scores for things?
That was kind of what I was thinking, but the text to speech part is like, because if you're talking really fast, you might mess up, and so it's like it might not end up being a real thing, right? So like that's kind of the funny part. But I don't know. I worry about accessibility with this, because it's like the like, are we just saying that if you can't like speak, then you can't play this game, or you're bad at this game? Like, I don't know if I like that.
Ooh, that is a good point.
I feel like
my initial thought was that it would be bad for everyone, but you're right, it would still have the internal bias.
And then it'll also have like any regional accents, any accents from learning English as a second language, any speech impediments. Like, I don't like that.
So yes. And then
I think here's how we fix it. It's got a text to speech option, but you can play it by typing too. It's just, the whole thing is just make a timed list. It creates it's another AI, so it's pulling ideas from the internet of like the most used things in listicles like this. And so it's more of like, it's basically categories, but under the guise of a magazine. And I think having the text to speech option, so where you either talk it or type it, is actually more accessible in that sense. So it's like, if you have issues typing or whatever, then you can just talk.
I have a third option.
Okay.
the words are like floating from off screen, and there's like like a targeter in the center, and when the word that you want crosses the targeter, you say anything, right? You like make a noise, a loud
Oh,
enough noise, and then it triggers it. And like,
I don't like that. I don't think I'd ever play that. I would feel so uncomfortable.
okay,
Just going like
I
that.
tried throwing, yeah,
Ah,
that's what I was
ah.
thinking, like that word, that.
That's very weird. I think that, I don't know. I mean, I get like it's an interesting mechanic, but I think people would be so uncomfortable to play this and like, especially living with anyone else in the house.
Okay. Do we? So wait. Do we have a core gameplay idea? So okay. So
Also, you basically just invented Emily Blaster in that one.
yes, and that is, I think, the. We just ran out of time.
That's okay.
We
Well,
just ran out of time, folks.
does that mean we just like are stuck with the last game idea we said? Like that.
It means that we missed one, folks.
I mean, this is only the second time that's happened.
This is the
I guess.
second time we've missed a rapid fire round. You're witnessing history, listener.
Yeah. Well, okay, listeners, now it's up to you.
You have to come up with a
We
game idea.
we need to hear your utter magazine list. We need to hear it now. Please leave us a comment on any of our Instagram posts because I don't think there's any recent ones, but I'll read them. You can send us, a Twitter.
Yes,
You can find
an
us on
email.
TikTok. You can find us. Well, I'm doing the social media first. You can find us on Facebook because it's all the same handle at Make That Game Pod. Then, if you want to send us an email, you're more than welcome to at makethatgamepodcast@gmail.com. And then if you want to find us on YouTube, you can find us on youtube.com/@makethatgame. And you can find us on twitch.tv/makethatgame. And that's all the places. So we really do need your help with this one. Utter magazine list. How are we going to do this? Let's tag team. But if you did hear a game today that was finished, that you thought this should be a real game, then we encourage you to get out there and make
that
that game.